Hey guys, welcome to another installment of Inferno Friday. This week, me and Dreadnought are actually going to be playing on Inferno. And we decided we would do Act 1, the Skeleton King quest. We were thinking about doing Act 2, but we figured you guys wouldn't want to watch us wiping over and over again. So we're going to do something a little bit easier. And we're recording this video a little bit early. It's Wednesday night, but it's actually this week's Friday video. We won't be able to record Friday because it's actually my, wedding reception. I've been married for a year and a half, but we're finally having a reception, and so we wouldn't be able to record on Friday. But we thought we would just walk you through a little bit of Inferno and share with you the builds we've been using and some of the strats we found, and let you guys see some of these champion and elite packs on the Inferno difficulty.
And if you haven't played Inferno yet, it's quite a jump from Hell to Inferno. Nightmare to Hell was a big jump, but not quite as big as Hell to Inferno, and you're going to be surprised how fast things kill you. The white enemies are only slightly stronger, but the elite groups are what are really going to give you problems. They have 4 abilities instead of 3, and they're just ridiculously strong. Things will one-shot you that you don't think can possibly one-shot you, even when you're stacking a lot of vitality and resistances.
Yeah, hopefully we'll get to one of those packs here so you can see how hard they are, and you'll be able to compare that to the Skeleton King, who's relatively easy in comparison. Right now I'm using a build that is kind of a spin on a build that I posted earlier today. I'm using Blizzard and Hydra as my 2 main attacks, with Arcane Missile as my signature skill. Kind of use that as my single target DPS. Then I have Energy Armor and Magic Weapon to give me more defense and increased DPS. And then of course Teleport with Wormhole to get away from anything and just travel through this place a little bit faster.
I've had a lot of people posting and saying, what do we need to do in Inferno to survive? Because a lot of people get through the first 3 difficulties and then they get a little stumped. Here's a blue pack.
Oh, there we go. Oh, and they have Mortar too.
And you might notice that we're doing a little bit less damage than we did in our previous videos, and that's because we're stacking a lot of defense now. These fights are going to take a little bit longer, and you just have to accept that you're not going to do as much damage as you used to do, because you're not going to be able to survive these fights long enough to kill people anymore. So,
yeah, one thing I found is when I started adding more defense, I can actually do more damage sometimes just because I'm able to attack more often instead of having to run around and kite a lot.
And you'll see here that I'm getting some cheap shots on these white guys. That's just to build Fury real quick. I'm going to be frozen here and hopefully not die.
And these blues and yellows aren't too bad towards the start of Act 1. By the time you get to Act 2, I don't even think we could attempt those blues and yellows yet. I just get demolished when I try it on my own.
Yeah, we can kill things on Act 2, but just because you can kill things in an act doesn't mean that it's worth doing the acts. Money is actually a lot more important than we originally thought it was going to be, because the auction house is just so important, because you can get the exact piece of gear that you want and for pretty cheap relatively. So you can grind for hours and hours and hours looking for that piece of gear and craft and craft and craft. And a lot of times it's worth it, but most of the time it's not, because the auction house is so convenient if you know how to do the right searches.
Yeah, one thing we can't say about the harder difficulties and Inferno specifically is the gear definitely gets better. We've heard that Hell has a chance to drop anything that could drop on Inferno, but from what we've seen so far, the gear just going from Hell Act 4 to Inferno Act 1, it gets way better. In fact, we haven't really been able to sell anything on the auction house from Hell because there's enough Inferno gear up now that everyone would rather buy that.
So if you can do Inferno Act 1, don't be in such a rush to get to Act 2, because a lot of the Inferno gear and commodities drop in Act 1 anyway, and so you're going to get a lot of Inferno gear and commodities just by doing Act 1, and Act 1 is significantly easier than Act 2.
When we did this solo, Dreadnought had a pretty easy time with this event, but I had not such an easy time. It can be a little challenging, but these pillars are really weak, so the key, if you're having trouble with this, is just to get the pillars down as quick as possible, because they're just going to keep making those skeletons. But if you're Dreadnought, you'll have no problem, and they'll just go down right away.
My build is really AoE intensive, and these skeletons are really susceptible to my shockwave, or my seismic slam that has the 100% pushback and the 200% weapon damage.
Yeah, one thing that's been helping us out as playing duo, I don't think I can make that. Oh, I can. This whole time I've been running around, and I can just teleport across there. Sorry, one thing that's been helping us out a lot is Dreadnought's ability that gives us extra health orbs.
It also heals me for an extra 100%, which makes my health orbs give me around 20,000 health. And when you have potions that only heal you for 12,000, it's almost a must to have those health orbs, because the health potion cooldown is so long, and you might have a lot of lifesteal abilities, I do, but the health orbs are going to save you a lot of kiting time, waiting for your lifesteal abilities to come up. Instead, you can just look for those life orbs that give you 20k heals.
Yeah, especially if you stack 10k extra health from health orbs like Dreadnought. I'm not sure how many I have right now, but I think just a couple thousand. We're almost to the Skeleton King. You guys can see how big of a pushover this guy is. We didn't really get to see any of the more challenging blues and yellows. Some of those combinations can get pretty nasty. So we just got our one stack of Nephilim, but that's fine.
When you're fighting the Skeleton King in a two-person group, as the melee, keep in mind that his first attack is his strong attack. He has one strong attack he does that can solo me, and I have a decent amount of health and a lot of resistances, so just watch out for that first attack. This one right here, where you probably know it, right? That's really the only one you have to watch out for. The Skeleton King, you'll notice, has just under 6 million life in Inferno with 2 people. A lot of the enemies just have ridiculous amounts of life with 2 people in an Inferno, and so you have to have a build for longevity. I used to just stack a lot of damage and lifesteal in Hell mode so that I could end fights before they got too difficult, before my wrath ran out. And a lot of times that's just not going to be possible in Inferno, so plan to change your gear a little bit, and maybe even your abilities, but change gear first and then abilities is my motto.
Yeah, I know a lot of people at low levels are using the I'll just kill them before they can kill me strategy, which actually might be the best strategy on normal, but Inferno, it definitely doesn't work. I used to have Archon in my build, and it's possible I'll put it back in for those blue and yellows, but it's just not as viable on Inferno. On Nightmare or Hell, I could probably finish off the blues or yellows before Archon ran out, but it doesn't happen very often.
Yeah, I would have gotten killed right there if I hadn't had my 300% additional armor from my leap.
Oh, did you get hit by the big attack?
Yeah. I didn't plan on surviving because of the leap. I just wasn't paying enough attention to what he was doing, but I got lucky.
Yeah, you can see he just hit me there, and it took out, maybe 20% of my health. That's mostly thanks to energy armor and the fact that I've been stacking plus to armor and plus to all resistance gear. Those two in combination have given me about 70% damage reduction from armor and almost 70% damage reduction from resistances. And those two combined make it so I'm taking, roughly 10%, I think, of all damage.
A lot of times when you're changing from one difficulty to another, it's hard to get yourself to change your abilities, because when you're Act 4 Hell mode, a lot of times you get so strong that you feel like a superhero, and then you get to Inferno and all of a sudden you're weak again. You're just a normal mortal that can get one shot again. And so when you go and start looking at all your gear and your abilities, and you're trying to figure out what damage you have to give up to get some of these annoying defensive abilities, I start with the passive abilities, because I get into a routine with my abilities where I know what button does what, and I don't have to think about it too much, and I get comfortable with them. And changing your passives isn't going to necessarily change your routine up. And so start with the passives, then go to some of the gear changes if you have enough money, or some defensive gear stashed away. And then when all that fails, then you're going to move to some more defensive abilities, but hopefully it doesn't have to come to that.
Well, loot wasn't that great. Probably because just the single stack of Nephilim. I got 3 blues. What about you?
Yeah, normally he drops 1 to 3 yellows if you're at a 5 stack of Nephilim, and if you have a topaz in your helmet.
That's all we want to show you this week. Next week we'll be posting another video of Inferno. Hopefully we'll be able to play in Act 2 that week, but we'll have to wait and see. If you guys haven't subscribed already, please do that so you can catch our new videos as soon as we post them. We've been posting a lot of Wizard Strat videos on my channel and Barbarian Strat videos on Dreadnought's channel. Thanks for watching, guys, and we will catch you next week.
See you later.